Hi folks, Steinorth here. Okay, another video on the Live or Die Living Off the Land series. This one I'm going to call, I guess, Can I Eat That? What I'm going to discuss in this video, this is kind of like a precursor, this video, to another video I've been working on that will go up right after this one. Make sure to watch for it. It's about a half-hour long video. I think I think you'll really enjoy. And that video has to do with caloric investments and caloric values, which I'm going to discuss in this video a bit also. Now, okay, can I eat that? There are so many things in our world, in our natural world, that are edible. There's no doubt. I mean, I love watching videos on people that are doing wild edible demos, and they're out there searching for them, and they're identifying all the different edibles. And one of the hardest issues we have, us bushcrafters and outdoors people, and one of the difficult things we have to deal with is not knowing what the actual food value is. Just because you can eat it doesn't mean that it's going to be a good food source. I was always told that just because it tastes good doesn't mean it's good for you. Well, we all know that. Fast food tells us that. Just because it tastes good doesn't mean it's good for you. Well, the same rules apply to the outdoors and wild edibles. Just because it's edible doesn't mean it's going to help sustain you, okay? Most, I would say the majority of all wild edibles provide some benefit of some kind. But what you're concerned about if you're going to live off the land as a hunter-gatherer is your caloric intake. That's your first worry, is, am I going to be able to provide myself with enough calories every day for sustainability, to stay as I am today? Let me take a sip of coffee. Yeah, I gotta have my coffee. Okay, now, it is, in modern life, we typically consume a net positive amount of calories per day compared to what we burn. And that's why we get a little pudgy around the middle. It's because food is so readily available. If you feel hungry, you get to eat. You get to eat whatever you want. You get a whim to eat something, you can eat it. It's always there. Food's there. And if you run out, you just run down to the corner store and get some more. Make sure there's always food there. One thing that we have is a lot of fat calories. It's available everywhere. Chips and candy and ice cream. And we consume those things without even thinking. I don't mean every one of us, because there's a lot of calorie counters out there, but for the best part, most people just eat without thinking about, am I eating too many calories? Or am I eating too few calories? They don't think about that. But if you're living off the raw land as a hunter-gatherer, excuse me, you must consider your caloric values and your caloric investments. Okay, now caloric investment is, okay, I'm going to use for an example, I'm going to use burdock root as an example. Burdock, it's a big sticker bush. Most people know what burdock is. In the next video, you'll see a picture of burdock and you'll go, oh, I know what burdock is. Well, burdock has got an awesome root on it that it's a tuber and it cooks up like potato and has a very nice flavor to it. And it can be, you can roast it over a fire, you can boil it, you can slice it up and add it to soups. There's a lot of things you can do with burdock root. Now, burdock grows quite big, the bush. Well, the root matches the bush. It's got a heart root that's quite large round and can be 3 to 6 feet long. The problem is now you're going to need a digging tool, even just a sharp stick to dig with, but you need something for digging. And you have to dig that root out. It takes quite a bit of effort to dig out a burdock root. However, it's moderate to high caloric investment. You're going to burn quite a few calories just to harvest that burdock root, clean it up, and prep it to prepare it to eat. So you burn up all these calories. Now, how many calories are in that burdock root? Is there enough calories in what you harvested to make up for the calories you spent, that you invested in getting it? Fortunately, with burdock root, yes, because probably the average burdock root, probably half of that root will replace the calories you spent, that you invested to harvest the root. The other half of the root are net positive calories, which are good. Now, in our society, in life, the way we live now, when we have net positive calories, if we're not out hiking and walking and jogging, riding bike, going to the gym, doing something to burn off those net positive calories, or fasting for a day or two here and there, if we're not doing those things to reduce calories, to burn them off, because if you'll understand, I'm sure you can understand this, your caloric investment in your food at home is minimal. You might burn 15 calories to prepare yourself a meal. Maybe 25 or 30 calories if it's a big meal. And that meal is going to add up to 900 calories. 900 calories for a big meal. Well, you've got a net positive on the calories that is extreme. So how are you going to burn that off? Well, you can't unless you're going to the gym, you're jogging, riding bike, you can't burn all that off. Now, much of it ends up passing through you, but much of it also converts to fats. It turns into fats. So we get chubby and lazy, like to sit on the couch. But that's life here, this way. Now, out in the wilderness, out in the raw nature, hunting and gathering, you're burning those calories off just in the procurement of food. Now, people say, oh, but there's foods that you don't hardly put any effort into get. I beg to differ. There's opportunities that seem very net positive calorie-wise where, oh my gosh, I found this raspberry bush and I picked a couple quarts of raspberries off of that one bush and I picked them in 15 minutes. I burned hardly any calories at all and I got all those raspberries. How many times were you able to go back to the bush and do the same thing over and over and over and over again? You weren't. So you've got yourself part of a day's worth of calories off that bush the easy way. Now, how are you going to finish adding to those calories? Can you find something that's just as net positive in caloric value with a very low caloric investment? I doubt it. I doubt it. The highest benefit, I would say, when it comes to caloric value versus caloric investment. Now, I look at caloric value as my caloric investment subtracted from the total calories I have harvested. What remains is my caloric value. Is there very few calories left over after I've harvested it? Is it negative? Well, then I'm going to call it low or very low caloric value. Is there a lot of extra calories after I deduct my investment, the work I put into it? If I deduct those calories off of the total calories of what I got, and there's still a lot of calories left, well, that's a net positive. So it's going to be high or very high. Now, a good example of how you can really come out good is freshwater fish. You get into a pond or lake or a river that's got a good fish population in it, especially freshwater fish in my region here, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Upper Michigan. I can fill a basket full of sunfish and bass in a matter of an hour or two, and that basketful would feed me for 2 weeks. So in a couple of hours, I would get the caloric value for a week or two. For a couple hours. Now that is a net huge positive. And I get a lot of proteins and minerals off of those fish. If I'm catching trout, I'm getting awesome omega-3 oils off of those trout with not a lot of effort. So fish is a very high caloric value because the effort you put into them is very little compared to the gain you get from the calories you're getting back from those fish. So fish is a very good example of a very strong caloric value source. So it's very important that we, as we look into living off the land, what will give me the highest calories with the least amount of effort? And the next thing to consider is, how do I preserve that? Because when winter comes, those things are not there. Now I have to look at, how do I preserve some of this net positive that I've gotten? How do I preserve that stuff so that I have it over the winter? And we'll get into some of the preservation issues probably after the next video. In the next video, I list a lot of food sources, and I do give a kind of an idea of the preservation methods for it, for each food type, at the end of each presentation of that food. So I think you'll enjoy this upcoming video because of that topic. Now, another thing to consider when you're out there collecting foods to live off the land, and you're out there gathering, um, are things that are of a medicinal nature. Now, a lot of people say, well, this isn't medicinal, but it absolutely is. Vitamin C is very important. Um, it's very important to your well-being. It helps you build your immune system. It stops you from getting scurvy. The the need for vitamin C is absolute. Now, all your wild berries have good levels of vitamin C. A lot of people want to harvest berries and just eat them all. I suggest you harvest berries, you dehydrate them, dry them, and store them. You eat some, but you want to store a lot of berries if you can for your winter, because then you can add those to other foods, those dried berries, or eat them as a snack, and you're getting some vitamin C. You're getting the vitamin C you need. There's other plants that are very well dehydrated. They dehydrate so well that you should dehydrate them, store them for the minerals and the vitamin content of those plants so that you have them over the winter. So all those considerations have to be taken into mind when you're harvesting and hunting. You know, you're out there hunting and gathering. You have to make sure that you're meeting all of your caloric requirements all the time, and you're also being able to supply yourself with future need, which is preservation of foods for the winter. And you also have to be harvesting specifics such as items with high vitamin C, vitamin A, the iron, calcium, potassium. All of those things are important. So you do need to know your plants. You do need to know generally which ones will provide those things for you, and make sure that you are diverse. That's a key thing. Be diverse. You want to harvest all the different types of things. You're out there gathering every possible thing and hunting for long-term sustainability. So there's a little food for thought. Wild food for thought. So I hope you enjoyed it. Watch for this next video. I think you're really going to enjoy that one. So this is Stein North. Check it out for now. And like I said, check this following up. This is like a pre-video to the next one. So make sure to check out the next one too. So until then, you all have a very nice day. And bye-bye.